All right, so we've learned the basics and we're ready to keep moving here. Whenever you're in orbit of one of your planets, you always want to make sure that you fuel up, and you can do that by just going into the dry dock. And once you're in, you can just hit exit again, and you can see we have a full tank of fuel. Here again, we can either go into manual or let the ship fly itself. I'm going to opt to let the ship fly itself. So let's go back to auto scouting now that we've picked up our first base. It's starting to build some money for us. I'm going to go to unvisited systems. And before I do that, let's just talk about a couple of things real quick. The, what's nice about this is MegaWars is a player versus player game. So one of the things you want to do is you want to keep up with how your enemies are doing. So you can rescout habitability 80 plus, rescout habitability 90 plus. Well, we've talked about HAB so far. Unvisited system in the past 8 hours, 24 hours, or systems with colonies. Colonies unvisited within the last 8 hours. Or a certain ship's colonies. So if you have an enemy that you're keeping an eye on, you can actually pick the ship and go scout just his system or his planets at that point. So I'm going to continue back to unvisited systems. And while this is doing this, we'll just chat just a little bit. It scanned our planet, and you can see our colonists are up to 5,233. And you'll notice that our little bar here now has our 4 imperial bases, and now it has our system that we just picked up. So this is our little hot bar for getting us back to our planet. And let me hover over this again. If you left click, it'll survey. If you right click, it'll navigate. So if I left click, you can see it surveys, and I've got $42 in taxes. I have 12 mercenaries, no fighters. What probes is 0.008. Remember, we've set that for 1%. 1% of our workers are going to be building armaments. And so it builds probes, and once it's built the number of probes that we had set for our inventory, it then starts building missiles. And then once the missiles is up to the inventory value, then it starts building torpedoes. So if you wanted to go directly to torpedoes, you would just put 0 and 0 in the stocks, and it would sell off whatever's there and move you into selling or building the other items at that point. And we'll talk about that as we scout. And what's nice about scouting is I want to pay a little bit of attention, but I don't have to pay a whole lot of attention. Reason being is this is running automatically for me. I'm the goal here again, as we talked before, is you want to build up your planets. The ship itself is the means to get to the planets. Yes, there's combat involved, but the main thrust of the game and how you score is the planets themselves. So let's come up here to this guy, Ship Library, and it's going to update our database. And it's going to tell us right here that in Sector 87, that at this planet, here's its hab, its metal, who's its owner is, the owner's name, the last time it was scouted, and there's the last time it was updated. We don't update you with enemy planets. You have to actually visit that. Now, what's nice is if you join a team and someone else on the team visits that planet, you get their update. So everybody shares the information on a team together at the same time. So there's a big strength in joining teams. So here, instead of colony list, I'm going to open this drop down, and I'm going to say, hey, tell me all about planets that I have found that are over 17 hab. So this lists all the planets, and here if I click on one of these, it will take me and navigate me to that planet. And so you can click on the column and we can sort. So we found, oh wow, I didn't even notice. As we were flying, spoiler has some planets here. And you can see now my planets are small. I joined a war that was already in progress. It's within 2 weeks. Because a new war starts tonight. Actually, it starts in about 15 minutes. And I may go jump into that war and start establishing some planets over there. But you can see he has 6 surface guns on this planet. This data becomes invaluable, or not invaluable, but of great value as you move forward to be able to know how your enemy's doing and how his planets are growing. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop the drop down, And so let's go back to colony list. Now when I go to colony list, now it updates. It knows who these other people are because it updated in the background. So it now sees these other colonies. So the first time we looked, it only saw ours. And then it did the update. And then it found these other people with planets. Now, Dark Helmet, that is the head of the Imperial. And he runs all the Imperial bases. Because you can see here, he's at Planet 1. And he has 15,000 surface guns. Surface guns, we talked about that. About 20 will kill a scout ship. 15,000 guns will kill the biggest ship. About 30 or 40 of them before you get the guns down enough to suppress them. So that's a fun thing that you can do is learn to take those Imperial bases. So if I drop down, these are all the players in this war. And so if I click on, you can see spoiler here is 1968, and it only shows you his planets. And I can come up to the top, scroll this up to the top, say all players. Now it lists everybody. There's an abandoned planet right there. Now what an abandoned planet is let's say you're growing your planet along, and you decide that you found a better one and you want to abandon that planet. You can just go into the orbit of that planet and abandon it. Just drop it and get rid of it. You don't need it anymore. So someone like me joining mid-war, going to an abandoned planet and taking it over has a lot of advantages. So we could go take that and actually I'll let you discover that on your own. Just ask some of the other players how you can pick up an abandoned planet. Yeah, I don't want to spoil everything for you. You need to discover some things on your own. Okay, so Auto Scout scouting along and getting us to where we need to be. And while it's running, let's just go through some of the other things here that we can do. Messages. These are the messages that come to you from other players. Planet attack messages. You can create messages and send them to other players and reply to messages. This is an in-game email system that allows you to mail and communicate with other players. The macro panel, all commands can be typed. So you can type these guys in, or you can make the macros themselves, and then it becomes a button that you can just push and it will launch missiles. Then the next one is the macros themselves, where you can actually type in the word miss, and this is in the help file. It tells you what the commands are, and it can help you learn how to do these macros, and all that is done with the buttons here. Okay. The next one over, toggle star numbers. This is kind of good. It allows you to see the numbers of the stars. So you can see that these ones are blue, have been scouted. The ones that are white have not been scouted. And it allows you to turn those on and off. Most people just leave them off for the time being. The next one is toggle the sound, and then toggle the music. There's some music in the background. Toggle the voice. There is a helper that can help you. It gets turned on automatically, and it talks you through playing the game. It's some of the basics. Options and settings. So let's open this up. Navigation hotkeys. Do you like your background blue or gold or white? You can set your space views. Feel free to play around with some of these settings to learn what they do. Warp speed is W, and it can set the values. These are the variables that you use inside the macros. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this. Information, we talked about that already. This goes through your commands. It goes through your macros, how to be able to set those up if you decide to do that. The slash commands, these allow you to set things. And then planet management. This goes a little bit into planet management and tells you what the workers do. And then the commands, and then some version notes of what was changed. Alright, MegaWars IV has not been changed for about 2 years now. It is a very, very solid game, and we're expanding that as we go into MegaWars.net. We're using a Unity 3D client, and we're going to have some things in 3D, and we're taking a little bit different approach to the UI in that game to make it to give a more immersive experience. Okay, so let's keep coming across here. We talked about the galaxy map. Player information. This allows you to click on a player and see who they are, what size of ship that they have that is known. You can see here we have all these ships and all their scores, and all that's done in this little dialog box. Excuse me if you heard that. If you didn't hear anything, so we're good. Pilot notes. This allows me to put some notes in here if I need to remember something. Oh, I saw a good planet in system, let me slide this over, system 345. So you put some notes in here and keep track of those things. Transport. This is like Auto Scout, but it will haul fighters and troops from Imperial bases for you. And the advantage of that is that the ship will fly itself. You can be doing other things and play the game, and your friends come online. You can talk with them over here in the chat area and that kind of thing. So I think we've gone through just about everything in the UI. Here again, down here at the bottom, you have fires, and these buttons changed whether you're in hyperspace, normal space, or in orbit. Okay, so you have three basic modes. When I discussed it a minute ago, I forgot to talk about orbit. You have commands that are done in hyperspace, commands that are done in normal space, and commands that are done in orbit of planets. And depending on whether the planet is yours or someone else's, those can change. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up here in the finals of the UI. And I'm going to start the next one talking about combat. And I think we can get some combat. It's almost time for the next game to start. So I'm going to log into that, and we'll see if we can get into a little bit of combat. And I'll give you some of the combat basics to MegaWars. All right, see you in the next one. Bye.